Hello, everyone. This is Chala, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert. Welcome to another edition of the Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. Today's a late one. It's the end of the day. I am spent, but this has got to be done after a long weekend. It totally feels like a Monday. Just talked to my little guy who just started the first day of high school, and he was super chill, super cool. Like everything's happening, in the right way. And he's not really telling me much, but hopefully it all went well because I was all so excited for him and so anxious for him. But he's like very one word responses, kind of, anyway. So hopefully you guys are having a good back to school, back to work. The topic is, wait, let me take a sip. It's congealed. My protein's congealed at the top, so it's stuck all to my lipstick. So sorry about that. It's going to be weird to keep drinking this, but now I've got a taste of it. I've got to do it. You know, when the hot liquid breaks through the skin, it's kind of gross. But anyway, the topic is sales presentation decks. Now, I'm sure the title has captivated you, as I try to do with all of my marketing content, because you're going to see how important it is to capture people with just at the beginning to hook them in. Because really, we're like goldfish. We have very little attention span. And you'll remember from my book that I wrote, How to Make Anyone Like You in 7 Seconds or Less, is that when people meet you, the Harvard research says that within 7 seconds of meeting you, they'll decide whether they like you or not. They'll decide whether you're competent or not. They'll decide a whole bunch of things. Now, a recent research that I read from storydoc.com looked at 100,000 presentation deck cases where they sent in the presentation deck. So now I usually do not subscribe to that. Like, I teach my clients, when possible at all, do not send your presentation decks. Get an appointment, walk them through it, because that gives you the two-way conversation of being able to ask them and answer questions and being able to overcome objections and sell to them really through this presentation, whether they're in that purchasing mindset right then and there or not. Of course, after COVID, increasingly what we found in B2B buyer research is that funnel is getting to the very end before they'll even call you or let you in the door. And so people are having to send information and these sales decks way before being able to come in and meet them. But if you've established a relationship through meeting them offline at in-person events that are back on, and or have established some sort of authority with stuff like this, it could even be online with live streams and webinars and online presence. And even you could be doing, I have clients who are doing LinkedIn group work, where they're actually either showing up or running events, even still online, again, or in person. So if you've developed a relationship outside of the sales cycle, you'll be way ahead of the game. And even if there's an RFP process that prohibits them from even talking to you, you will already have gotten in to a meeting to actually present the deck instead of just sending it blind. So whatever you do, I'm super, super against that non-interactive, just send me a deck kind of thing. But in case you do, here's a research about how to do it. And this also gives you some clues about if you're presenting it in person, which is how I like to have my clients do it. Here are some of the lessons that you need to keep in mind. And some of the stats and some of the learnings are still intact for what I'm going to show you. Okay. So the first is obviously the title, which is like the showstopper, is that they call it the bounce, the buyer bounce. And the buyers bounce from seeing your presentation deck within 15 seconds. So what does that tell you? Like 15 seconds, really, there's not much you can do within 15 seconds, maybe a visual and 2 sentences. So when you think about all the most effective public speakers who get paid the highest, they usually just present a handful of images and they weave stories around the images. So if you can make your first opening that, impactful, either image or pain statistic or pain story or something emotional that connects to the message that you're about to give them in that presentation, that is the first hook, which if, within 15 seconds, they decide to stay. So open with a bang. Now, the second point is that 80% of the readers who stay for the first 3 slides, who view the first 3 slides, stay and read the whole thing. So if you've lost them in the first 3 slides, gone. So here's a Gallup study that talks about the percentages of buyers that claim that they're indifferent to or indifferent or engaged with the sales deck. So this is super scary. This could have actually been the title of this. 60% of buyers are indifferent to sales presentations. I'm presuming these are decks, but I've been a buyer and I could say that even in person, I was indifferent to a lot of them. The second category is actively disengaged. So these are like they're daydreaming, making shopping lists in their head. They're looking at your shoes, whatever it is. That's in person. Now, actively disengaged is they're not even looking. So that's 11%. So if you total those up, 71%, almost the majority of buyers are not interested. They're not engaged. They're not interested. Only 29%, only a third, are engaged in your presentation. Now, if you hook them with the 3 slides, like I told you, then the percentages change. That changes the statistics. Okay. So the next point is that mobile is huge. Now, I knew this was huge on, for websites, we know that, but actually a third of these sales decks are read, believe it or not, on mobile. Now, what makes a difference is what stage of the sales cycle you're at. So it turns out that the first outreach deck, so your first, hello, how are you? This is who we are, your capability presentation, almost half, 47% are read on mobile. Then the next step of the funnel is the sales deck, like give me more details, make it more customized. That one's less people read it on their mobile, it's down from 47 the first time, then to the second is 37. And then the final proposal, that's 90%. So almost very few people are looking at your final proposal on their mobile because they don't want to miss any information. They want to look at it back in their office on an actual bigger screen so that they don't miss the details in the final proposal. So think about how you're going to address the visuals and the length and the message within the mobile format, especially for your first outreach. And what's interesting is on mobile, the sales decks that are read on mobile people read, they take shorter time to read them than versus like on their desktop for obvious reasons. One is it's a smaller screen, and 2, they're on the go, but it's not as significant. It's about half a minute less, but still keep it in mind to make it short and snappy, like how mobile friendly websites are much more cleaner screen, less reading, more images and bigger. So think about that when you're doing your first outreach presentation and presentation decks in general. So the next point is this is a good one. So time kills deals. You've heard of that, right? So if your deck has not been opened for 2 days, 48 hours, it's most likely not going to be read. 80% chance that it's not going to be read. So what do you do to combat that? Obviously, you follow up. Have you read it? I mean, short of pestering them, there's different ways of following up. One is gentle, funny reminders. 2 is multiple different ways. So, you text them one day, you email them one day, you DM them one day, whatever, or you run into them at their conference one day. So there's different ways. And then another way is to continue to nurture them with sending them different types of messages of value that could help them. So one day send them something that will help them, like a news item about their competitor. You'll send them a trend report about their industry. But these are all with the, additional gentle reminder. Oh, and by the way, we sent that thing. Did you get it? Did you read it? What did you think? So that's the kind of gentle nurturing that I would do. Okay, follow up, follow up, follow up. Next point is, this was astonishing. So decks with a personal note attached. Personalized decks of sales decks were read in full 68% more versus generic decks. Now, you know that I'm a huge proponent of niching and specializing. So when you're the ultimate form of personalizing is to cater to exactly the industry that you're targeting and to tell stories of problems that you've solved of their competitors and colleagues in the same industry. That is like one level of personalization. And then you can personalize it to the actual person and refer to any of the interactions that you've had. If you've had a conversation, if they've been mentioned in the news, make sure that you know. So when you are really, really focused on an industry and a company, you know all these things. When you use this knowledge in the deck, it's going to be read. So not only is it 68% more likely to be read in full, but that it makes sense that the average time read of the deck increases by 41%, and the pass along rate increases by 2.5%, or 2.5 times. So it's 230%. So it's an enormous amount of value in being personalized. So you have to really, really study your prospects. You have to really get to know them. And then last but not least, everything you do in marketing needs to have a call to action. So for example, when I do this Tuesday Tea Time with Chala, every week I invite you to come and watch me again. And when I repurpose this, it actually repurposes into my newsletter, which actually has a call to action to read more, because it's in half the copy. Then when you click on the read more, it goes on to my website. And in my website, the call to action is a pop-up that says, do you need more help? So these clear call to action buttons, signs, whatever it is, like on your, obviously this is your sales presentation deck, but so it'll be like the clear next step. Let's have a discussion, let's have a meeting, book a call, whatever it is. That's what you need to have, because if you don't have it, like the clear step and the clear call to action actually increases a close by 27%. It's almost a third of the time it closes more than if there is no clear call to action. So you can't just say thank you very much and leave off. You have to actually invite them to an action. So I hope that was really helpful. I just fell in love with this research. I'm constantly trying to give you more and recent research about B2B buyers, because that's the world I live in. That's the world I help my clients navigate through and educate them. And this research was supremely valuable. Again, not that I'm a proponent of sending these decks in. In fact, I would rather, if there is no option at all, to just video it and then send it in, because then at least they can see your knowledge and your personality, and you're able to put a bit of a touch of branding on it. But if all else fails, send an amazing, amazing deck that hooks them, hooks their attention, is all about their pain, is very customized and personalized, and offers them the what, but not the how. So the what is the problem? Why is it a problem? How much money is it costing you not to solve this problem? And what current solutions are not working for you? And then a few stories of how you've helped other people in the same kind of industry with the same problems and what amazing results you got. And then the clear call to action. So I've just outlined you my dream capability presentation. So I hope that was helpful, and I will see you next week. And I invite you to comment or like or share as you always do, and let me know what great presentations that you've done to get in front of corporate buyers. All right, everyone, all the best. Take care.